Hey there, everyone, and welcome to the Brand Bite podcast. I'm Hunter Myers, your host and the founding creative director here at Verger Design Co. Today, we're going to be talking all about money and finances, and there is seriously no better person to lead this conversation than my dear friend Nashira Lynton. So, Nashira is a Brooklyn-born Latina mom and business owner who enjoys equipping professionals who are struggling with money matters with the tools they need to succeed. So, with a past marked by $60,000 in debt, and a present defined by financial health, she aims to guide individuals through the maze of their own financial journeys. So, Nashira, I have seriously been counting down the hours until we got to have this conversation. So, thank you so much for coming onto the show today.
Yes, it's finally time to talk about it. I'm so glad to be here and to just meet your audience. I'm so excited to share all things money.
Yes. So, I know you're all about the concept of like mastering your financial health. And I know that when I actually started working with you, I had like no idea what financial health actually was. And I have a feeling that there are a number of our listeners who also don't know. So can you break down what exactly financial health really is?
Yes. And I love that you want to break it down because for me, I do take it a little step further than you probably can go and look on Google about what is financial health. But the general idea about financial health is really from the outside looking at your finances. What are your assets? What are your liabilities? How resilient you are to be able to pay back your liabilities. For me, I think of it also from an internal perspective. So how do you feel when it comes to your money? Do you have extreme financial stress or anxiety? Or do you feel like you're in a healthy, more resilient place? And so that's what I look at when I'm talking about financial health.
I'm so glad that you brought up the internal feelings regarding financial health because that was actually something when we worked together that I felt was the most impactful for me is like really understanding what feelings I had associated with different purchases. So I'm so glad you brought that up. Can you give people maybe some examples of what that looks like? And feel free to relate this to your own financial health journey.
Yeah, so for me, I spent over 14 years in corporate America, had a master's degree with a concentration in finance. And, I worked for some really great financial institutions. And so there was also that income that came with it. But every single month, Hunter, okay, I was faced with the same situation over and over. I was running out of money before the month ends. So there was more month than money. And what happens next? I have to pull out the credit card. And so I take out the credit card, I charge the expenses, and I started getting in this routine where I wasn't paying my bills late. I was paying my bills on time. I tried my best to pay off my credit cards, but it continued to rack up. And before you know it, I found myself as a single mom living in New York City, raising these two boys now. And I'm saying these boys eat, okay? And they're here eating me out of house and home, and I'm paying off these bills. Now my student loans are kicking in, and so I'm faced with all these decisions. And what I found was that there was no peace when it came to my finances. Every time I got to this part of the month, the ending of the month, right before bills were due, I would get this extreme amount of stress. And after a while, it turned into like this low depressive state of like I didn't even want to deal with it anymore. I just wanted to avoid it. And I had decided, I went through this newfound faith, and I was like, man, I wasn't designed to live like this rat race of needing to go hustle and work and try to succeed in corporate America and then come home and have to pay off all these bills. And so I decided that I was going to learn it until I can teach it. And I did. I started to learn the basics of financial counseling, interest, things like that. And it was great, but it still wasn't giving me this sense of peace. And it wasn't until I stumbled upon this amazing webinar that had to do with financial therapy. And that's when I started to learn about the internal side of money. And what I realized was not only was I broke, but I was broken. And it was hard for me to separate the two. And so when I would have these feelings and these thoughts, I would then go spend, right? So yes, I am feeling down, but let's go eat out because I'm feeling down. And in order to feel better, I need to go spend. And so I had these really bad cycles and behaviors. But when I learned how to separate the two, I was able to go and work on the healing, but I also was able to then go work on the finances. And that is when peace started coming in. And eventually, me and my boys, we paid off that $60,000 in debt. Our anniversary is coming up April 1st. And the year after, we had already hit six figures in net worth because I continued to have those habits that helped us build the wealth that we were needing.
I think it's really, really important to emphasize the broke and broken part. I think that it's very easy for us to lean on this idea of like, oh, well, like like shopping, right? Like the what do they call it? Retail therapy, right? Like, oh, this will solve my problems, where my mom always called it like keeping up with the Joneses. Like this is what'll make me happy. And so like really sitting back and redefining what financial peace was for you and like redefining what it looked like to have healthy finances and healthy spending habits and things like that, I feel like is so important, but also, like, life change, because I know it was for me. Nashira, when you and I sat down, so everyone also a little bit of background, Nashira and I worked together, what was it? Almost a year ago,
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
today, and Nashira has helped me pay off credit cards, she's helped me get rid of oh my gosh, where am I at now? I've got a little bit left to chip away at, but after my plan is done, Nishir and I will have knocked out, I think, close to $20,000 in debt, which guys, I did not think that was gonna be possible. Like, I was living in the mindset of, "Oh my gosh, everyone has debt, right? Like, I'm just not gonna worry about it." Just like Nashira was doing, I was avoiding it, because I was scared. I was like, "I have no idea how to tackle this," and Nashira seriously opened my eyes to a whole new way of viewing finances that wasn't intimidating, that I actually found a lot of joy in. I felt like I had a lot of control. So Nashira is seriously the best. I'm so glad that you were able to share that kind of journey with us and how you got to where you are. Now that you're working with clients, what are some common themes that you see amongst them, especially the entrepreneurial clients that you have?
Yes. The famous entrepreneurs, which nowadays is more common, right? You have a lot of people who have branched into this entrepreneurial phase of their lives. And one of the things that we don't take into consideration is transition could be traumatic. Even if it's good transition. I'm talking about going from making maybe 20,000 to 40,000. That is a transition. If you get married or or get a spouse, that is a transition. And what we don't take into account is how does this transition affect my finances? And when you become an entrepreneur, you go down this journey, and even if you're getting clients right away, there's still so much uncertainty if you haven't created a plan for yourself. I mean, the chances of you creating a financial plan that is actually reflective of what you need for your life, it's very slim to none. I don't meet a lot of people who have done that. And so they go at this, they hustle, they bustle, and they also face a lot of rejection. And we don't understand how that rejection starts to weigh on us. And that also can form some sort of trauma, even though it's not big, but rejection after rejection until you get a yes. And then have to figure out how to survive on that one yes until you can get another yes. That all affects us. And so that can cause financial stress. And so what we find is that there are a lot of entrepreneurs who are showing up to their sales call with financial stress. They are showing up to that networking event with financial stress. They are going back at the dinner table with their family with financial stress. And undealt with financial stress can be detrimental to your business, to your health, and you need both of them in order to survive. And so that's some of the common things that I'm seeing right now with a lot of entrepreneurs.
Can you tell us a little bit more about really like what this financial stress is and how it manifests?
Yeah. So similar to what I mentioned already, financial stress can come because of some sort of trauma. Like some people have good trauma and it can cause them financial stress. But what I find is that a lot of the stress comes from the unknown, right? This uncertainty of how am I going to survive? Like, if you don't see it, you don't believe it. And so now you have these thoughts of unbelief because you have no idea if it's achievable or not. And so that ruminating on those thoughts day in and day out starts to wear and tear on you. And so there are some things that we cannot control. So what's going on in the economy, what's here, agenda gap or this gap, those are some things that are out of control that can cause financial stress. And without processing how they are making you feel, could also be detrimental. But a lot of the financial stress comes from things that we can control. We just avoid because we don't know how to process it.
I love it. I love that description. And as I'm sitting here listening to you, it's reminding me of how I used to feel before we started working together. And when I would get on sales calls and like the panic of, oh my gosh, like I have to land this call and feeling like even if it wasn't a good match, I would have to say yes to taking on the client because I needed the money and where was the money going to come from? And I know that that is a very common theme amongst entrepreneurs. Because I mean, part of the entrepreneurial journey is that you don't have a consistent paycheck. You are not salaried. Some of us will have retainers, but even that's not guaranteed. And I feel like there's a lot more security that comes with a corporate job, which I do appreciate you sharing that even when you were in corporate, you were still experiencing financial stress. But I think it's really, really important as entrepreneurs to pay attention to what that stress is doing to you and how it's not only affecting your personal life and relationships, but how it's also affecting your business. So now that we've kind of talked a little bit about like what financial stressors are, how they manifest, what are some things that people can do to start addressing those financial stressors?
Yeah, so my favorite part. Okay, guys, it's not going to be a budget. I would never recommend that. But it's going, one of the biggest things is understanding who you are. Okay. I spend hours on this, I give homework on this, and I love this work. Because if you don't understand who you are before you go out and do what you do, then you will always find yourself back in this pattern. Even if you do hit the number that you want to hit, it's still not going to feel satisfying. Or if you lose the retainer client, you're gonna hit a deeper low than you were before you even got back up again. And the reason is because a lot of us start to put our identity in this number. We start to put our identity in the success of the business. We start to put our identity in I landed that client. And so I love to work with people and get them to first understand who they are, what they value, what matters most to you. Like, yeah, okay, you want to be the next millionaire, that's great. But tell me who you are. Because outside of that, when you die or anything happens to you, no one's going to say, oh my God, she hit a million. No, they're gonna be like, "Ugh, Hunter was amazing to work with. She was creative, she was kind, she was funny." Like those are the things that matter most to us. And that's what I want people to focus on. So if anyone out there is listening and they're even thinking about getting started on this journey, start there. Start with who you are and who you are outside of your business, who you are outside of hitting your next financial goal or your next number, and then go into the money. And that's where that's when you start to hit the rock, like hit the ground running because now you can hit it from a place of this is who I am. So whether that if I work with that client or not, I know that I don't have to settle. I know I'm not the type of person to settle because I would be doing a disservice and I'm here to serve. And so that's where I would start.
I think it's really, really important to emphasize what you're saying right now and how you're so much more than the numbers that you associate with yourself. And I think that that can be really, really difficult to kind of internalize as a business owner because we spend so much time crunching numbers because I mean especially here in the States it's all about like how am I going to pay my next bill, as
Yeah.
the economy continues to shift and things like that. Like it can be very, very nerve-wracking to navigate a financial journey. And so I love this idea of no matter what happens in your finances, making sure that you know who you are outside of that so that it doesn't control you the way that it perhaps currently is. So thank you so much for sharing that. So I know that you are offering these open houses. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is? Because I know that is one of the ways that you are starting to help people.
Yes. So a lot of people, they do sales calls in their business. They want to get on a call with people and they want people to know what they do, understand them, and figure out if they're a great fit to work together. And I do enjoy sales calls. We both done sales training. We know what that's like. But what I found is that the more people that I can talk to, the better, because after hearing me for a little bit, you can kind of tell my personality. You can know, and I've gotten so great. I had a failed business in the past, and one of the things that I learned from that failed business is who I don't want to work with. I was in that situation of I just want to help everyone. I just want to work with everyone, and so now I offer these open house because one, my main goal with the open house is to get people to take a next step. It doesn't have to be me, but you should be taking a next step when it comes to your finances. And so it's an opportunity for people to not feel pressured like, hey, so do you want to work with me? But it's an opportunity for them to get to experience what it's like for to hear how I talk with people who I am working with, because people submit questions. You get the answering and they can get a feel for what that looks like, but also an inside look at my private community. you know I am big on building my practice to be financial therapy expertise, but also community support, because it's better when we do it together. And knowing that you're around like-minded people just helps you motivate you more towards accomplishing your goal. And for me, experiencing the open house with other people, having alumni there, that is the main goal. And so I'm going to be offering these for the next 4 months, every single month, so that people can get an experience. And people, my main goal again is to get people to be decisive and to commit to taking their next step towards their financial goal, no matter what that is, whether it's with me at Renewed Wealth Therapy or that person that has been hunting them down for the last few months.
I love it. And how can people find you, get in touch with you, come to one of these open houses? Like, this is the time to share with the world, because everyone, you need to get in contact with Nashira. I am not kidding. So how do they do that?
Yeah, so I think the best way is to join my newsletter. I have a monthly newsletter that goes out once a month that's called That's What She Said. And then throughout the month, I update people and remind them on events that are happening. So not only do we have open house, we also do it's called a financial health checkup challenge. And it's experiencing what a financial health checkup is, but in a 2-hour challenge. And so there's time crunch, but in order to sign up, you do need to know when it's available, because I am not big on the quantity. I am big on quality. And so they do fill up. And so the newsletter is the best way for you to get in touch.
Awesome. And everyone, I will have that link to the newsletter in the show notes. I am serious. Like, Nashir has absolutely changed my life, and she is worth any investment that you could possibly make. I mean, if I had $1 million, I would give Nashir $1 million. Like, it is truly amazing what she can do to help you. Nashira, thank you so much for coming on today and talking to people about what it is that you do, teaching them about financial health, and showing them ways that they can start to improve theirs.
Thank you for having me. And thank you for everyone listening. I look forward to helping you reach your financial goals, just like Hunter.